Joe, why do witches fly broomstick?
Why do we throw it to the
The vacuum cords aren't long enough.
Oh.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Why don't witches fly their brooms when they're angry?
Why?
They don't want to fly off the handle.
Why don't witches rat out their friends?
Why don't witches rat out their friends?
Because witches get stitches when they're snitches. Bitches.
Good night, everybody. Hey, welcome to Carnival Personnel. This is Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And that's we're continuing with the awful that Halloween themed jokes.
We started it on Memorial Day.
Yeah, we gave Helen Keller a true month of awful, which I'm happy to go back to. It's your call. We can go a couple more weeks with this or the Helen Keller. It's really up to you.
I propose Hitler Month.
I say seek. Anyways, so last week, fun show, but Thursday again. I don't know why it took so long to do a Phil Hartman show, and as I said on the podcast on Thursday, it really hasn't dawned on me how much Phil Hartman you do on a daily basis. We went back to the podcast, I don't think there's been a podcast where you haven't done a Phil Hartman voice or done an impersonation. You're Ed McMahon as Phil Hartman or something like that. That truly was one of my more favorite to record and more favorite to listen back to. So
Not one of my favorite to edit.
Well, you did it like that opening montage.
Oh, that was a good part.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the good part. It's the sitting through me doing really lukewarm, not even lukewarm, like bottom of the sewer temperature impersonations of Phil Hartman. Like, wow, I really can't do a Phil Hartman style voice. I should stop doing that.
No, but you can. First of all, you can, and you're wrong. Secondly, like you said, your Phil Hartman's impressions of Phil Hartman are Phil Hartman's impressions of everybody else.
Yeah, but at least he had a good voice. Okay. But enough about me sucking.
But it was great, and truly, if anyone has any ideas for other ones, the sideshows are fun. And we're up for it. And this is mid-October. And I'm getting excited to do our annual Paul Lynn.
The Paul Lynn Halloween special. 90%,
95%, same as last year. And I don't care. I will talk about that special once a year, every year, as long as we do this podcast.
Yeah, we didn't get into a deep enough dive into the Paul Lynn Halloween special as much as we should have.
I don't think you can. Have you reached out to anybody helping out?
No.
Why don't you take a moment and do it now?
He's not listening.
You don't know that.
He's not.
Okay.
He's actually sent me a certified letter saying I will not listen to your podcast.
We're hoping to have another big Paul Lynn fan.
We'll see.
Come on in. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. So let's get right into it. The DCU Teen Titans live action premiere today.
Wow. Why are you still here?
I and the boys thoroughly enjoyed the first 5 minutes of episode 1.
Oh.
Management and myself were unaware of how adult, bloody, and, this person's getting shot in the head. And you don't cut away and hear the shot and see everybody's reaction. You see the person get shot. You see Robin, fighting a guy, smash his face into a wall, and then drag him along the bricks of the wall and see the blood. Now, I didn't read much about the Titans. As you know, I go out of my way not to see trailers and previews. And I've heard, just see glimpse. And in this universe, I guess this is a killing Batman. The Batman kills in this universe.
Oh.
So it is. So
you will not be looking forward to the second episode.
I can't wait to go home and watch the rest of it, without
alone.
Because she was like, let's watch the rest of this episode and then we'll make a decision.
Why wouldn't you do that before the children sat down?
Oh, because I thought it came out tomorrow. And I got the email blast as I was waiting for like the 11-year-old named after a Nightwing coming out. It's like, oh, it's out now. And I'm like, great. If we hustle home, we'll get home at 4. We leave the house at 5 for their ninja training of all things, jiu-jitsu. So we can, if you guys sit here, shut up, put your gis on, we can watch this. So they were so dialed in. We've all been so excited about it. And yeah, I should have waited for management not to be there to watch it with them and then taken the decision out of the hands. So we will watch it together and make a decision. By we, I mean her.
Right.
And then, but we'll see. I mean, but they've seen radar things. They've seen, and what upsets her is we have American kids who aren't fazed by seeing somebody's head blown off, but 2 people kissing on a sitcom. It's like gross.
Yeah, right. I'm waiting for like you reporting back to me that like I don't know, Catwoman or somebody gets shot in the tit,
right?
And I
kiss
don't know.
to make it better.
Yeah. But hey. To each their own.
So I'm very much looking forward to having a full. And what sucks is we talked about last week. I think the first 2 episodes are up now, but then they're just going to release it weekly. So they don't want any binge watching, and then you cancel But I paid for the year, So, but there's other great stuff on there. But it's dark. Like I said, I'm only the first 5-6 minutes in. It's pretty dark.
Okay, well, it's a little change of pace.
It's a DC. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, oh, we're not funny.
But at least it's not. I guess you know what, DC. Maybe this is what they needed because they've always tried to be middle of the road, PG-13,
right,
dark, which is good up to a point. But then it becomes kind of mild and watered down and milquetoast, or like almost comical. Like, oh, they're so brooding. Look at them. They're trying to be so serious. But really, maybe it's because they're pumping the brakes a little bit. Maybe if they just let go. And just coast down.
Push the chips in the middle and see what happens.
Yeah, this is going to be fucking awesome. So, good. We'll see. I'm not paying, though. I ain't paying.
No, you can watch it on my app.
Thank you.
If by the time this podcast drops, our good friend Mike Sullivan will have been a married man for about 30 hours.
I would like to say congratulations, but it hasn't happened yet officially, so...
You don't want to jinx it? Joe has not been given the choice and is coming to the wedding with us.
I am not going to the wedding.
See, Joe's going to have to rewind the last part of the podcast when I said, why aren't you coming?
I think...
You were invited by the man himself.
I think it's because my wife has stuff going on this week. So I can't just abandon my family. So that's one reason. And 2, I mean, I know Mike through you, but I'm not that close to Mike.
Yeah,
and,
but you know everybody. You will know.
I want him to have fun.
You at the bachelor party.
I ruin weddings, okay?
Just your own. You were at a bachelor party-ish. It was a hangout, which was nice, low-key. I like it. Right. You knew just as many people as I did. Now, sadly... a lot more people knew me, and I had no recollection, and they're coming up talking to me. It's like, oh, right. You're Mike's half-brother I've known since you were born. You'd think I would remember this.
This checks out.
But,
okay, well, I'll say congratulations, and if I go, so be it, and I'll say congratulations to him in person.
Very, very nice. I'll have a full report. Hopefully we'll have a full report. It's at the Hard Rock, and the band Tragedy. It started off as a BG metal tribute band, but it's all 70s,
Yeah, like is there ABBA involved? Probably
ABBA, Air Supply, the Weather Girls. They do a fantastic Raining Man.
Written by?
Oh, don't know. I do know this. Raining Man is that Paul Schaefer?
Yes, it is.
Yes, okay. I was literally going Paul Schaefer or Barry Manilow, who shockingly has written more songs than most people, than people would have known.
I know Barry Manilow's music, kinda, and when you say Barry Manilow, it triggers something in my mind. It's that VH1 series. I love the '80s and I love the '70s.
Yeah, they're the best.
So Hal Sparks, who's an actor, you know,
The best,
yes,
huge fan.
right? He was one of the funnier pundits or commentators on the show. And when it got to Barry Manilow as a topic, I just remember him looking into the camera and singing, "I write the songs that irritate Hal Sparks."
So
That pretty much sums it up for me.
a really good friend, Dennis. Known him since high school. You know, he's maybe 10 years older. He's a friend of a friend. Played softball. Funniest, and I say this a lot, but probably one of the big guy, Dennis.
Oh, Dennis, yeah.
Okay.
Got the mustache.
Lives for Barry Manilow. Always has. And for 30 years now, we keep not every year, it's every few years. It's a Christmas, it's a 40th birthday, it's a wedding present. We keep rapping and giving each other the same Barry Manilow autobiography back and forth. He is a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Barry Manilow's career, and I mean that. It's like I could do a whole sideshow on Barry Manilow. Tell me maybe the two biggest songs, the two biggest cash cows for him.
Mandy.
Not even close.
It's the theme to I don't know.
Ready? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yeah.
You deserve a break today. McDonald's.
Right.
And there was another one. I'm stuck on a Band-Aid, and Band-Aid stuck on me.
Jingle writing, yeah.
It was so interesting. Oh, I'm trying to think if he was. I want to say he was not Bette Midler. Who's the other? I mean, I think he was Streisand's.
Cher.
He was like Cher, but I think I'm going to say he was Streisand's songwriter.
Oh, okay.
Forever. He was Streisand's. Paul Schaefer was her piano player, her band leader, but her songwriter, and he wrote so many of these songs. And finally, I forget why she couldn't go on. She couldn't go on one night, too hammered, and whoever it was, whether it was Cher or Bette Midler, maybe it was Bette Midler. Anyways,
yep.
hammered, or coked out, whatever. It's like, and everyone's like, "We're gonna pour coffee down her. We're gonna get her out there. You've written and played these songs. Go out." And he killed it. Absolutely killed it. And that's and that's the same. Richard Marx had a similar story. Richard Marx was a songwriter. It's killing me because I've worked with Richard Marx a few times, and he wrote his first big hit was "I'll Be Waiting."
I'll be there, right there, waiting for you.
And that again, so it was one of the huge divas, and maybe it was Bette Midler. I'm mixing them up, and you know how middle-aged diva singers all look the same to me because I'm a racist. Said, "Oh my God, this melody is perfect, but I'm not fucking waiting for anybody. Keep the music, scrap the words." And he's like, "No, I think I'm going to keep the words and record it myself." And that, first guy, his first 5 singles all went #1, and it was all stuff that he had written for her. And she was really supportive. It's like, "No, I completely, you have the blessing, go and do that." But her whole point was, "I'm not waiting for anybody." It's like, but anyways, with Barry Manilow, his biggest things were, State Farm, Band-Aid, McDonald's.
If you see me walking around the room with a flashlight, it's trying to find the fucking way out of this Barry Manilow vortex we fell into, and trying to also find out how we got into it.
Tragedy.
Oh!
And who wrote Weathermen? Who wrote Raining Men?
That was Paul
by the
Schaefer.
Weather Girl. Right.
Right, and then you got Paul. You thought it was Barry Manilow almost.
Almost, right. So, you're welcome, everybody. All right, so let's get into the awful.
Please. Anything but Barry Manilow. Saudi
Arabia might come as a shock to you, Joseph, and anybody else. Not a bunch of good dudes.
Oh, go on.
They're one of those barbaric countries that still has the death penalty. One of only 4 or 5 countries that still have the death penalty.
Sons of bitches. I can't imagine what the other countries might be, but go on.
Ruled by, fanatical religious doctorate.
Again, crazy ass.
But picking on our dear beloved little Qatar. But this week, so over last year, like their new crown prince. Let's see, he invited the prime minister of Lebanon to come for a state visit and had him arrested at the airport and locked up. He, upon taking power, had like about a third of his, extended family, locked up. And now, granted, they were locked up in like a Ritz-Carlton, but they were some of them were still beaten and tortured and made to give him billions upon billions of dollars. And he said, "Oh, it's a corruption thing, and I'm doing this for the betterment of Saudi Arabia." But this past week, turns out, had a Turkish, a U.S. I don't know if he was a citizen.
Yeah, he was a resident.
He was a resident, but did he have citizenship?
I don't know. He was residing in here, but then he because he fled Saudi Arabia. But you're talking about Jamal Khashoggi, Jamal Khashoggi, who's a Saudi journalist and a very vocal critic of the Crown Prince and the King and the whole bunch over in
How
Saudi
has this
Arabia.
week gone?
Well, funny you should ask. He goes into a Saudi journalist and his fiance go to a Turkish consulate, or it was the Saudi consulate in Turkey, I think it was. And I guess he was picking up documents that he needed to get married. He goes in, does not come out.
Or it comes out, but just literally in pieces.
Right. Well, allegedly.
And Turkey has come out and said, yeah, we have the footage and the audio recording of the hitman, confirming the kill. So either they get paid or they get their, whatever award or accommodation to stick up on their fridge,
They're virgins.
Yeah. So honestly, and as as it has been brought to the attention of the, I can't even say it. I'm just trying to think of funny ways to say the ass clown in charge.
Oh.
Hey, what do you think of this? Well, if it's true, it's pretty awful. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, business as usual. They just brought a bunch of weapons.
Right.
That's what his statement was. Like,
that's not Trump's fault. Honestly, I'm going to defend Trump a little bit on this one. Not his fault. He inherited a country, or stole a country that loves the Saudis and loves doing business with them.
It has for
decades. And by the way, I think how much does the Saudi Arabia own of the United States? Do you know this? Because they have a substantial amount of money in the United States.
They
invested in the United States.
Between them and China, if either one of them called our markers, we would topple.
Yeah.
Like financially.
Yeah.
Like and you got back, what was it? It was Fahrenheit 9.
11.
11.
Oh, 9/11. No, yeah, right.
The one. And when Michael Moore, one of the interesting things in that, when he went to Canada, was just started walking in people's houses and they're like, "Oh, hey, how are you? You lost?" He was going to every embassy in D.C. Couldn't get near the Saudi embassy. They wouldn't even let him film on the street. And it wasn't Saudi security that was keeping him away from the Saudi embassy. It was our security keeping him away from the Saudi embassy. We're not going down that rabbit hole, but it's true. It's like, but they've owned us for a long time. This Jimmy Carter in 1975, when he was running against Ford, he was saying we have to get off foreign oil, and foreign oil is Saudi Arabia. Like OPEC is a bunch of those countries, but it's mostly, it's 75% Saudi or whatever the percentage is. It's largely them. And he was saying, like, look, if we can just get off 25%, we won't be beholden by them. But he was very honest about how much of our economy they controlled, 45 years ago. Nothing's changed since then. Economically, nothing's changed. And of course, the $110 billion of arms that they bought were technically a package put together by the Obama administration to sell them. That, of course, is one of those things. It was approved but stalled until the new president got in. And then, like, his first trip. Blotus shocked everybody, including his then Secretary of State, his whole administration. His first trip, every first president's trip is usually to London, to Germany, to the G8, to Canada, to a friendly NATO nation. his first trips were,
in Saudi Arabia and the whereabouts, and that's where he was. You see the picture of him with the other Saudi kings
with the glow,
with that weird glowing orb thing. That like, what is? I don't know.
And you go back, and of course because of this week and his comments, his laissez-faire attitude with it, they're playing all the comments from him speaking over there in 2012 and 2014, bragging how many luxury condos that he sold in Trump Tower to Saudis, how much business he's done over there. I mean, the whole, we're not going to go down the emoluments clause, thing, but they killed this guy, and a journalist, so an enemy of the state, enemy of the people, and even Blotus was flat out, it's like, well, he wasn't a real citizen. Oh, yeah, you don't know how to. So your wife's not a real citizen.
Yeah, right. And it honestly, it doesn't really sell that. It's not selling it to Trump to give. He's not going to have sympathy for the Saudi Arabian government to allegedly murder a journalist. Like of all people you're going to murder,
right?
According to Trump, hey, one less journalist.
Well, and one of the scary things, you take a step back. Last week we sat here and talked about how the head of Interpol, upon entering China, disappeared. Mm-hmm. And what is the U.S. response to that?
More trade with China.
It's like literally everybody said the cocksucking he likes to do with these strong dictators. When he came back, from the Saudi trip, like his administration, people were saying, oh, no, he even said it's like, he said it got Kim Jong-un. When he talks, people stop and stand at attention, and I like my people to do that. It's like, you're not a dictator. It's, oh, wait, you kind of are.
This is the same moron who, when he's coming off of a plane and he's being saluted by an officer, he salutes back. Like, that's like, it's...
He doesn't know decorum.
Yeah, like
anything.
Anyway.
So, you know what? But I'm gonna throw a curveball in here. It doesn't turn out that just the GOP is a bunch of pieces of shit. This week, Democrats went out of their way to be big pieces of shit.
Why?
There was 15 nominations for these federal appointments, these judges for life on the federal level. We've already talked that they blocked 105 nominations. The GOP successfully blocked 105 seats. That's like the biggest judge in Boston and Worcester or Albany and, Brooklyn. I mean, we're talking major, major appointments. They have summer recess, or fall recess coming up. They all want to be back in their districts campaigning. And so they came to an agreement. We will, rubber stamp. They're not even having hearings on these 15 judges, and they made a deal with the Republicans. Okay, we'll just agree to this if you agree to not have any other business come before the Senate so we can all go home and start campaigning because it's less than 30 days out. The GOP need to get back to their districts to campaign just as much as right. So why? So you're doing them a favor by not letting them get back to their districts as well. And this is where this is one of the occasions where you can say both sides suck. Both sides are, as individuals, worried about maintaining their seats, getting reelected, more so than doing the job that they were hired to do. And whether you stay an extra day, an extra week, fly home on the weekends, campaign. I get it. Look, it's important. It is so important. But is it more important that we're just rubber stamping federal judge? I mean, we made a huge thing of Kavanaugh. And maybe not a huge thing enough of Kavanaugh, to be honest. But, 15, so the 105 they've already had, another 15. 120 federal judges, that's a bigger deal than one Supreme Court seat. Or, as big. I mean, you won't hear every case that those 120 people, pass through. But if you're not even having hearings on them because you want to get home and campaign, fuck you, man. Do your fucking job.
We should vote those guys out. Wait, we got the help. Because who's going to tell us who to vote for and what to do?
Well, if you live in the state of Georgia, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, I really hope you're not black. As many jokes as we want to make about the South and Georgia and Klan and voter suppression, because nothing's funnier than those topics. It's like kids with cancer funny.
I'm cancer boy.
What do kids with cancer
and jokes about
kids with cancer have in common, Joseph?
They never get old. I feel dirty.
But so the guy who's head of the Georgia Election Commission, who has purged over 75,000 names off the rolls. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They have 75,000 applications to vote not being processed. Fun fact, over 75% of them are black.
Oh, okay.
And this guy isn't...
So he's not racist?
Wait.
Okay.
No, he is.
Okay.
Okay. White guy.
Oh, go figure.
So, but he's not doing this for the love of the GOP and trying to help his right-wing concern. He happens to be running for governor himself. So this is his current job in the election commission. But while he's trying to get the next job of being governor, he is not going so far out of his way. And here's the fucked up problem. What can you do? Can you sue him?
I can't. I don't live in Georgia.
Okay. Can somebody in Georgia sue him? The answer is yes. How long does that take?
Long.
More than the 3 weeks before the election?
Probably.
You think unless a absolute huge tsunami wave comes in? Now what happens if his governorship gets called into question because he won by less than 75,000 votes, which he kept from people? But here's the scariest thing. Now this is where the other 95% of the time, no, the Democrats aren't like the Republicans. I don't know if you heard, there was a reporter. There was a guy running for state senate in Texas, and a college campus there for the last 40 years has been battling to be able to vote. And it got all the way to the Supreme Court that, yes, if you're living in a state while going to college, you can vote in that state. That's your residency. You don't have to fly home to vote. And it's gone through the Supreme Court, and the attorney generals in the states have said, some states have said, yeah, we're not honoring that. So a state senator, and I'm blanking on his name, in Texas sent his assistant to file the paperwork to protest this, on behalf of this. And he had the clerk, take a picture of himself and the paperwork, turning it in and email it out so he can, so they can say, oh, you weren't here, or this was a date, or you filed it too late. Upon trying to file it, he was detained. The police came, asked him what party he's from. The paperwork said he was a Democrat. Locked him up, took his phone, and this is the guy's campaign aide. They just literally took his phone and threw him in jail because he was a Democrat trying to file paperwork. And it's all tape. It's all documented. It's not like they don't even have the decency to get the journalist into the Turkish, the Istanbul thing, and sabotage them there. They're doing it out in the open. Like the guy running for governor of Georgia, it's out in the open. This isn't there isn't a left-wing version of Alex Jones, but this is happening. It's happening in Texas. I mean,
well, he wants to appeal to his voter base. I mean, they want to see somebody lock up a Democratic, campaign aide. I mean, that's gold to the Republican voter
seriously.
Base.
I mean,
lock him up.
Which party is going out of its way to keep you from voting?
Yeah.
Same thing with the Kavanaugh thing. One side was saying, please, FBI, investigate this case, investigate me. I'll take a lie detector. I'll go under oath. The other side said, I like beer. Do you like beer? And you thought you did bad impression.
No.
But on the other hand, the democratic process has a new champion.
Yes. Tay-Tay. Taylor Swift. My God. Is there anything that she can't do? Besides, dress up as Al Jolson for Halloween? I don't know. I was going for something. I don't know.
Well, painted yourself in that corner pretty nice. But yeah, Taylor Swift, and not just on Twitter or not on an email or not on an op-ed thing. at the CMAs, at the Country Music Awards in Nashville, gets on stage.
Well, that was after her statement.
Oh, that was after, but she reiterated it.
Yeah.
Funny how much that's had an effect, you know?
Well, it did. Yeah, right. Because I think what would they like tens of thousands of people have registered to vote in the election since then. So
Kids,
yeah.
that the demographic that doesn't vote.
Yeah.
Is your oldest voting?
Yes.
Good. Very happy about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that would be pretty bad parenting.
I think it would. I wouldn't want to say, hey, my oldest is voting. But yeah, do I have to like Taylor Swift now?
No, you don't have to. But it's good because, it's good because we're liberal snowflakes and she's telling people to vote Democratic. But on the flip side, whatever, it's yes, it's good. But we would be admonished. It's like if Kid Rock told everybody to go vote Republican, he's a piece of shit.
But he is saying that, and he's been out campaigning for years.
Right.
He's been saying he's going to run himself.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And Kanye.
Dude, we'll get to that, sadly. But first, so good for you, Taylor Swift. Good for you using that platform. And look, here's the thing. The other side isn't telling kids to go out and vote because they know, yes, we see the douchebags at Charlottesville and the douchebags who think they're genetically superior to LeBron James.
Right. But they know that their bread is buttered with the old.
Right. I saw a great thing. There was a convention to outlaw carbon emission laws, and the shot of the people in the room, I don't think anybody in the room was like under 75. And the person who tweeted it out, it's like, nobody in this room is going to be here long enough to see how much their vote fucked us.
Yeah.
Anyways, so good for Taylor Swift. And we got another fuck you to the USA Today.
Are they still around?
They are not only still around, they're still the largest newspaper in the country.
Well, the largest, I
mean,
guess
you can't go to a hotel in this country without it being at either the front desk or at your door.
I guess that's another prediction that Back to the Future Part 2 got right, because USA Today was the prominent newspaper featured in that movie in the year 2015. I would never have imagined.
No, because, I mean, where we are, but if you flew a lot, you can't go to an airport without, the Globe there or whatever city you're in, the one or two big newspapers, but the USA Today is everywhere.
I mean, come to think of it, I can't think of another nationally circulated newspaper. So, yeah.
And look, the way it's formatted, it's quick. It's meant to read on a train, on a plane.
From a billboard.
While you're walking. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And they published an unedited op-ed by Benedict Donald this week, which instantly everybody, I mean, Ted Lieu did a great fact checking where he posted that on Twitter, where he took a red highlighter and it looked like, one of my spelling tests from elementary school,
or the first 5 minutes of Titans.
Right. Hey, thank you. And it's like no, that would be an exaggeration. I've told you 1,000,000 times not to exaggerate. But every single line but one or two had either just a flat out lie or misinformation, and the USA just ran it. And of course, 2 days later, because they got so much backlash, they published here's the places where the facts didn't add up. But of course, it's the same thing. It's like, this guy murdered my child. 6 days later, page 17, the retraction is like, under the Woolworth ad.
No, he didn't. Yeah, right.
It's front page, as Taylor says, front page LA Times above the fold, and that's what his op-ed basically was. It got all the press up on everybody's dander, but when they print, not a retraction, but when the USA fact checking, they're like, oh yeah, it was as nicely as they could say, every word was a lying piece of shit, because he's a lying piece of shit. There you have it.
Got to sell papers though, man.
And they did.
Good.
Who else is a piece of shit? Who else is a piece of shit, shockingly? Chief of Staff, General Kelly. Man, the emails can't leak out fast enough. This week, Did you see this?
Nope,
Kelly's
not.
not a fan of Pocahontas.
The movie or the person?
Either. He's not a fan of Elizabeth Warren. I guess when the Muslim ban was first put into effect, or they when they first put it to effect, when they said, "Oh, we're going to ban Muslims," and just put it through and started detaining people at the airport, and Elizabeth Warren got on the phone with him, and so he briefed the president by email, and didn't have a lot of kind words to say about her, being an angry, arrogant woman, arrogant, misogyny, woman, misogyny, and where's my sandwich, bitch?
So this podcast?
Yeah, pretty much.
By the way, I'm going to stick up for Elizabeth Warren because I think somebody in this room has to stick up for her. I don't like you referring to her as Pocahontas, even jokingly.
You know what? You're right. I shouldn't.
Don't perpetuate. Don't feed the machine. Don't praise the machine.
You are correct,
sir.
No, seriously.
Now say it like Phil Hartman doing Ed McBean.
You are correct, sir. Yes. No, you're right. I shouldn't. I shouldn't even joke like that. Back to Hitler.
Oh, okay.
But who I do feel bad for. I feel bad for the first lady, who's probably the most bullied person in the country.
Well, who told you that?
Oh, she did.
Oh,
wait, she's a piece of shit. Hey, wait. I'm sorry. I really don't care. Do you?
Oh, you see what you did with the coat and the message?
So she stand by your man, as he bullies everything and everybody, including, Kavanaugh's victims. We're not talking about that. I will briefly just say the fact that piece of shit apologized to that piece of shit. Like, he apologized to Kavanaugh and his family for what they were put through. It's like... We're not,
because he doesn't want to be.
We are not the Me Too
indicted.
The Me Too movement, right? Exactly. Anyways,
he wants to get on his good side,
But here's Flotus. Of course, we could point out how Elizabeth Warren, is constantly, mocked, called racist names by some
sitting in this room. Shut it.
I didn't have it on the rundown, but I fell down a wormhole today. I fell down a Wikipedia wormhole. We, as management, and I, and Renetsky, our good friend, again, thank you to FNH alum Renetsky for being on the podcast last week. We went to get mani-pedis today.
Ooh.
Oh, they're the best. They are the best. And I forget how. We're talking about traveling as kids, and because we're going to send the oldest one. I think the oldest one is ready to get on a plane himself. Give him a backpack and backpack full of hope and $20 and hope it works out. No, but fly him out to L.A. so he can spend a week out there this summer. And she was like, yeah, I was like 8 the first time I flew alone, and I was like 5. I was like 6, 7, 7, 8 with my brother and sister, and we used to fly People Express and. Management and Renetsky were like, what the hell is People Express? It's like, it was the first. I don't know if it was the first discount airline, but it's the first that, I knew of. Believe me, when we flew to Buffalo.
I haven't heard of People Express since forever. Like, this is the first time in probably 40 years that I've remembered.
There was another one like that, but it was like $25. Because, my dad was a cheap piece of shit. And he would literally... I can fly them round trip for $20 each, or drive there and pick them up for the week they have to be there, and gas is, whatever. And so we would either have to drive 8-10 hours in a car with him. It was absolutely miserable, or fly there, which was, but it's a fucked up thing.
But did they have to put the people in the boxes before they shipped them?
They really. So I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but yeah, we had some crazy as kids. Some bad experiences, like at airports, being unaccompanied minors back then, like they would, anyways. Mm-hmm. And so I started reading about People Express, and I fell down the wormhole. It's like, prominent people at People Express. How they're prominent people? So I start clicking on the names of the CEO. First female Boeing 747 pilot in the country.
Wow.
In the world. I'm sorry, in the world, flew for People Express and stuff like that. So it was interesting.
Yeah. Let's see where that got him.
But yeah, lasted for, I'm not even looking to Wikipedia now. I just read it all day. Lasted from 81 to 87. And it's like,
wow, yeah.
Those were the prime years that we flew to Buffalo.
Guess who's going to be this defunct sponsor of the week?
a certain kind of guy who'll never say, "It's not my job," because everything is his job. You know what you call someone like that? An owner. There's a company where each and every employee is an owner, with an average of $40,000 worth of stock. People Express Airlines. At People Express, each of us feels like we own the airline, because we do.
All right, so now let's talk sport. As we said last week, or as we talked a little bit, Joe was a little more invested in the Red Sox than I was. I will say, upon leaving the podcast and driving home, I actually listened to the Sox game. It's the first time I actually listened, the hour drive home, and it was great. They won game one. Can you say the word correctly? Is it the German word when you're
Schadenfreude?
Thank you.
Sour grapes.
I couldn't point David Price out of a police lineup. Now, why did I say police lineup? He's black, but but I couldn't. But I just know that he is like the highest paid pitcher in baseball, and he can't win a playoff game. And not only can he not win a playoff game, he can't beat the Yankees. And it's not like he's played one game or two games in 14 career starts. This is a guy who's won one or two Cy Youngs, like I said, biggest contract, shits his pants in the biggest moments. So I was really happy driving here, for you, for Jim, for Steve, for my sister, for John Hunt, the people who I know love the Red Sox.
For younger you.
For younger me, I was happy to hear it. I was also just as happy that David Price shit his pants and was pulled after the first inning in game two, and they lost. I'm happy the Red Sox won. I am. But I'm really fucking happy the Yankees lost. I mean, I've been out of baseball since 2011. Out of it completely. There will never be a time I won't be happy that they haven't lost.
Yep. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
My buddy John, years ago, he was vacationing. He was in Ireland, and soccer came up, and he's like, "What team do you root for?" And he's like, the Irish and whoever fucking is playing the English. It's like his two favorite teams, Ireland and whoever fuck is playing England. So I am happy the Red Sox won, ecstatic that the Yankees lost. It's like,
and that game three.
Oh, just honestly, I thought my prom date was ugly.
Yeah, right.
A rented
mule. You know why I'm laughing? He
knows my sister.
No, didn't have a prom date. Your line was funny.
No, it was. I was so happy. I mean, and now they're playing Houston. And look, I like stories, and the fact that the Red Sox was a bench coach for Houston last year, and they're playing them in this. I do. I wish them well. If they lose to Houston, don't cry for me, Argentina. If they win again, I'll be happy. For the city. But I was thinking, oh my God, this is why everybody hates us. Go down the list. It's like just in the last calendar year. It's kind of like when I was back in high school. It's like, are we really going to complain that we haven't won a championship in a couple years? But the tough thing is, like, the Red Sox made it to the playoffs last year. Now they made it to the ALCS. Patriots make it to the Super Bowl. The Celtics made it to Game 7 of the conference championship. The Bruins made it, second round of play. I mean, all of our teams, some of our teams are the best in their sport continuously. Like, this is the third year in a row. Now, the last 2 years, the Red Sox were out in the first round, but, they've won 3 championships.
We've been title town for a good part of 2 decades.
It is crazy that it's gone on this long,
because for many, many decades, it was not that way.
I mean, I wasn't in the Celtics, in the early 2000s, but when they made it to the championship, I watched. I was really, again, I really want the Lakers to lose as much as I want the Celtics to win, but I was dialed in.
Yeah, you just want to see championship games being played on that parquet.
I really do. Or, Fenway and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But it is just crazy because all the juggling the sports teams have to do this weekend. So the Red Sox game 1 tomorrow
at 8.
Saturday. Right, Saturday. This past Saturday, the Red Sox game was at 8, so the Bruins game that was at 7:30 moved to 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to so the Patriots play yesterday. And they're the primetime game, so game 2. And they were talking about, look, Major League Baseball, don't be idiots. Like the Kansas City, Chiefs are 5-0. They're one of the 2 best teams right now coming into Foxborough for a Sunday night game. Sunday Night Football is the reigning giants. What Monday night used to be.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football is the highest rated show in TV and has been for like 5 or 6 years. You have the Patriots, who people love and love to hate, and the great new team, the great new quarterback, Mahomes. Anyways, but we're just spoiled. The Bruins got shelled their first game. Won the last 3 and convincingly, against good teams, 2 good teams in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a crazy time here that like all our teams are doing well.
It's again. Boston in the fall, baby.
Right. But let's see.
You get many leaves in your yard, by the way?
Yeah, and I feel bad because we had our yard cleaned late May by my brother-in-law and his whole, about like 8-person crew to do the big yard cleanup. I didn't do a goddamn thing for 3 months, and all the lawns around us are nice, but I'm like, I'm not that guy. And, then I felt bad because our neighbor, nicest guy, like one day is like, hey, you can borrow our stuff if you want to not look like the Clampets. I'm like, God damn it. And now the other day he's like, so are you going to go, are you just going to rake? You going to go leaf blower? And I'm going, I like it because, with all the Halloween stuff, we got bales of hay in the yard now and stuff. It looks Halloween-y rustic with the leaves and stuff like that.
Just organize it, sort it by color. Do something.
By color. But I want to talk about Kansas City. So the Patriots are now 3-2. Maybe they've turned things around, maybe, but this is a big test. But I think it's a lot bigger for Kansas City, who has a history of killing it. They are the antithesis of the Patriots. The Patriots have historically slow starts. Over the last few years, the best start they had was when they went 3-1 when Brady was suspended. But they've gone 2-2, 3 like the last 5 years. Last year, everyone was thinking 19-0. You and I were together at Buffalo Wild Wings, where they got killed by Kansas City at the early part of the season. The Patriots' November and December record is crazy. Like, the last 20 years, absolutely crazy. They're a 600 team in the first 2 months of the year and a 900 team like the last 2 months. Kansas City, they always start off, not always, but they've started off a number of times the last 5 or 6 years, 6-1, 7-2, and right now they have the best young quarterback, rookie quarterback Mahomes, 5-0, and they are. It's more pressure on them. I mean, it's one of those things where, wait, you're week 6 and you're already talking about home field for the AFC title game, you cocky fucking cocksuckers. When you've played in 8 in a row and 11 in the last 13 years, yeah, you kind of start thinking, well, we're going to see them again and we want to play them at home in Foxborough. But what were your thoughts on the game last night?
It was fantastic. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about the structure of our podcast, maybe we should be looking forward to the next week.
Maybe we should. But
like,
I'm going to look back, if I may, to last Thursday, 3 days ago. Did you see, how I despise Odell Beckham's fame and
yeah, see, he had the one catch that didn't really do much of anything. It was just a great catch.
Great catch in a regular season game that they lost. And he's built an empire on that. Like, that catch, it has been the crux of at least 12 different national commercials. Whether he's selling sneakers and he's sitting on the couch watching it, they recatch all this stuff. He was kind of a holdout, want to restructure his contract. He's the highest paid wide receiver, but he has mental problems. I don't know if you remember last year, he got into a fight with the kickers' practice kicking apparatus, on the sideline when they kick into a net, the kicking net. Yeah. Literally got into a fist fight
with the net.
And then it became
Who won?
The net actually won. It was one of those things where it was like one of those fail videos where he pushed it and it came springing back to him, and then he threw it down. And then like the next week there was a big PR thing where he hugged it and kissed it and made up.
So he has mental problems.
He does. He he does.
Does he wear a MAGA hat?
Yeah. We did. We glossed over that, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Do we have to go back to it? Can we just summarize one of the greatest things that President Obama said?
He's a jackass.
And leave it at that? Or do you want to talk about how Pete Davidson on SNL? Did you see Pete Davidson's takedown?
Yeah. Yeah, he went on there briefly. I think he's just like, no, he's a crazy guy. Take it from me. I'm a crazy guy. But he also...
Take the meds. They help.
Right.
Having mental problems is a big problem. It's not a license to be a douchebag.
Right. And then like he wears that hat that says "Make Kanye 2006 again."
And they show the clip because I guess people at home didn't see it. Kanye was complaining that his week on the set of Saturday Night Live, that no one would let him wear his mega stuff.
He was being, say it with me, bullied. You didn't say it with me.
I did. One more time. He was being
an asshole. Oh.
So it's great. So I guess at the end of the show, he Taylor Swift her, where he grabbed the microphone and started going off to the audience.
Yeah.
And
well, no, they gave him a third. They didn't go off to the audience. We're going way back. This is old fucking news. I don't even know.
Pete Davidson just walks away.
Right. Pete Davidson walks away because he just doesn't want to be on the stage with them anymore because it's a crazy
guy.
person.
He does
down.
have mental issues.
So he takes that same crazy energy to the White House, where on live television, the Trump White House allowed that shit to go out live. They even probably had to have a delay because he said bullshit and motherfucker during his 10-minute rant about how wearing the MAGA hat made him feel like a made him feel like a Superman.
And make up for not having a dad.
Right. And that like when a reporter pressed him on, well, what did you mean in 2005 when after Hurricane Katrina you said that George Bush doesn't care about black people? Kanye said, oh, I was confused, or I was coming from a victim mentality. Like basically what Trump is doing now is empowering black people, not holding them down.
And slavery didn't happen.
No, that was a choice. But he's a crazy person.
But
he's a
it's
legitimate
not
crazy person.
like there was a major hurricane hitting, a state that voted for Lotus, and he had anything else going on where he could have a wingnut come to the White House.
That was the Panhandle, okay? Did you see the toll count, the death toll from Hurricane Michael? Not even. I mean, it was nothing. I mean, almost as bad as Puerto Rico was almost as bad.
Yeah, it's all. Anyway, so glad we didn't get into it. Back to Odell Beckham. Yeah, so this week has a meltdown on the sideline again, throwing Eli under the bus. Eli's not a good quarterback. He hasn't been Eli Manning would have been out of the league 3 years ago if his last name wasn't Manning. He's not a good quarterback. In the last 3 years, seriously, he's something like 10-30. I mean, they're 1-5.
He was a good quarterback twice.
He was a good quarterback twice. Otherwise, he's a guy whose career record is like 110 wins and 105 losses. Mm-hmm. He's barely over 500. Unfortunately, you can never take away his 2 great Super Bowl runs, but the last one was 7 years ago. How many playoff games has he won in those 7 years?
0.
How many playoff games has he won in between those 2 Super Bowls?
0.
And how many before the first Super Bowl?
I'm going to guess 0.
So he's won 8 Super Bowl games. He's won 2. He's won 2. Anyways, but he's horrible. And Odell Beckham crying. And yeah, that's it. That's it for sport. Let's now get on to the good stuff. Before you tell me about your game, I'm still playing Arkham.
Oh, Arkham Origins.
And
the bad one.
I did. It is glitchy. I did talk about how I couldn't find out you can't 100% it until I was 76% through it. And then I'm trying to find, you have to do one of these predator takedowns, you can't do it if you beat the game. You can't go back and go trophy hunting after and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, am I really going? Yeah. I went back and started all over.
I read. I watched a video on there was a fun fact about Arkham Knight. There was last minute deleted cut content that the Rocksteady was planning on doing, where they were going to, in the credit sequence, you as Batman were going to like fight like the actual like developers of the game, but like they would be criminals, but they would all be in the likenesses of the developers, but because of time constraints or whatever, they cut it. But that would have been like a cool little.
They do that stuff a lot where you'll be going through the police station and you'll see the walls of like the criminals and stuff like that. And if you zoom in, it's the name of the developers.
Or like a
mugshot.
Yeah. But to have them actually be characters that you fight.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
What are you playing this week? What have you played this week?
Gosh, what have I played? Oh, golly. This is man, I knew there was going to be quizzes in this podcast.
You promised there would be no math.
There is no math. It's just me trying to remember what the hell I did this week. Besides watch reruns of Classic Concentration. Yes. I watched reruns of and South Park. I'm catching up on South Park. I don't know what it. You know what it was? A couple of new games have come out on the Nintendo Switch Online service, where it's the NES Flashback kind of. It's a paid service where you have to pay to play online competitively with. The Nintendo Online service used to be free, but now you have to pay. So if you want to play Splatoon or whatever with online, then you have to be part of the paid service. But the other side bonuses that for the Switch, you can download a Nintendo emulator that has a bunch of old Nintendo games on it. And they've added a couple more. They've added Super Dodgeball, Solomon's Key, and NES Open Tournament Golf. All three of which I have on that shelf back there. So hopefully when you go to the random video game review right now, you won't pull off one of those games. NES Open Tournament Golf, Solomon's Key, or Super Dodgeball. So there goes Jacques, walking away, giving me the view I love so much, waving his cheese-dusted hands over my NES games, thereby lowering the value of them.
I'm going to wind up at the hospital with an orange dick again.
And then he sits down.
The best stuff's off the mic.
Yes, it is. Too bad for you guys. So he pulled the game off the shelf. I'm going to try to see what this is. God, my eyesight is kind of going a little bit. I mean, I think it's in the Fs. It's not Fester's Quest. It's not fighting golf or something. I don't know what if F5 is it Final Fantasy?
It is not.
Man, you know what? I'm way off. I must be way off. What is it?
I think we've done it.
Oh, it's ice hockey. Yeah, we've done this.
That one.
Yeah, we've done ice hockey. Anyway, so now we're going to extend this riveting segment by Jacques going and pulling off a quote-unquote random game from my Nintendo Entertainment System shelf. Oh, the agony.
I mean, how many podcasts have we done now? Because we're going to start running into... I mean, you got 240 games. It's going to be hard to not...
I know. So it's not ice hockey. Okay, so now there's Jack Nicholas. Wait, the Iron Sword. It's not Jaws. Is it? Man, I don't know what. Jackal. Is it Jackal? It's Jackal. I think I did this game. Anyways,
I don't think you did.
I'm pretty sure we did, but it's a canal. I don't give a shit.
Biff doesn't remember.
Yeah, right. Jackal. It's a game where you ride around. It's like a military style game, but it's an overhead thing where you're riding in a Jeep and you're just shooting everything in sight. You're trying to take out bases, and you're also trying to rescue POWs.
Princess.
Nope.
No. Okay.
Princesses of War. Yes. And you go through like 5 or 6 levels. You know, like each level is like an overhead map, and you have to cross like bridges and stuff. Shoot soldiers, shoot other tanks, shoot like cannons, and then there's usually like an end boss, like some sort of like fort or something like that. You know, some big machine that you have to take down, and you go on to the next level, save more prisoners. And it's a fun game. It's a 2-player co-op game, too, as well. So it's a good time made by Konami. And it's a good Jackal. We're gonna bore you even further.
What would you give it? What would you rate it?
I would say that this is rated a 3.5-star game, if not 4. Let's see what Pat Contry says from his Ultimate NES Guide to the Nintendo Library. He gives it 4.5 stars
Nailed it.
out of 5. Yeah, exactly. As a Jeep Commando venture back into Vietnam to rescue POWs in this overhead automotive shooter. The Jeep is armed with a machine gun turret, which only shoots in a northern direction no matter which way the player moves, as well as an upgradable, powerful secondary weapon which can be fired in any of the 8 directions. So, yeah, this is a neat little playing game that I have. And now if I was so desperate to play it that I couldn't emulate it or whatever, and I had to buy it, how much would I pay for it on eBay? I'm going to guess $7. Oh, $3.50.
You could get 2 copies. For
$3.50. All right.
In case you want to play it twice.
Well, that's that.
Okay.
Wasn't that fun?
I like it.
Don't answer that question.
You watching anything?
Like I said, reruns of Classic Concentration and South Park. I watched the season finale of Better Call Saul. Great show. Love that show. I mean, I know that there's no convincing somebody who just isn't into a genre or a show. Like, I wish you could get into Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and that whole thing because it's such great television. But I know your anxiety would be through the roof.
I couldn't.
Because it's not always action packed. It's no first 5 minutes of Titans, but it's also it's so nerve wracking. There's a lot of tension. The storytelling is so good, and the characters, and Bob Odenkirk is so great, and Michael McKean was so great in that show. But Classic Concentration, yes, they're brought back Classic Concentration, hosted by Alex Trebek on the Buzzer channel. Check your local listings for that. Set your DVRs.
I don't even know if I have the Buzzer channel.
It's over the air. Everybody has it.
Let's go through this again. You don't have ESPN.
I tell you, it's over the air. And I know.
I know what that means.
I know. You should.
Get the rabbit ears out on the back of the smart TV.
Pretty much, yeah. So there's the digital antennas. You don't know anything about digital? You know it.
I do, but
you might.
But I do have ESPN,
right?
So why would I know? But
but that was a recent acquisition, Mr.
It was.
I never had cable.
No, and it was great. But I still don't watch much. But I did. You ever catch The Football Life? You know, those really good documentaries about the players, and it's great. They can make a scrub look like he was, a Hall of Famer. And so I was watching one on Patriot great Willie McGinnis. And he is a great. I mean, 9 years with the Pats. It's a great documentary. One of those great stories. LBC baby, Long Beach kid, bad neighborhood. Football. But he was one of those kids, straight A student. So football was his out, but he was also a straight A guy. But all his friends were in gangs. It was a great documentary. He was a great guy. I mean, he played in 5 Super Bowls, won 3. Pretty effing great career. Then the other one that I watched, because, it was just on demand. I heard them talk about Willie McGinnis. I heard Willie McGinnis on sports radio here talking about he was excited it was coming out, blah, 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 and big party with his family to watch it together. He's like, I haven't seen it, It was great. And then I watched the one on Tony Romo. And management was in the room. And she's like, don't you hate him?
Oh, I was going to say, did you get a towel?
She's like, don't you hate him? I'm like, well, I hate it that the hype that his career came with. I hate it that, just like Eli. Eli is a decent NFL quarterback. He's had a long career, 2 Super Bowls. If his name wasn't Manning, he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. And if his name wasn't Manning, he would have been out of the league 3, maybe 4 years ago. Or he would have been traded from the Giants, But anyways, with Romo, they have him in the Hall of Fame. You ask Dallas fans, and they truly believe he's a Hall of Famer. I think he had a 12-year career. I don't know a lot of his stats, but I do know in his 12 years he won 2 playoff games. two playoff games. Like 2 times they were 13-3. Great going in, lost in the first round at home by somebody who, and it's funny because overhyped this. So the wife knew him, never heard of him until he dated Jessica Simpson. Then there was a big scandal with they had a bye week. They were the best team in their conference. They had a bye week between the end of the season and playoffs, and they all went down to Cabo, for a week of relaxing, and came back and lost the playoff game. And
Of course, every male fan of football blames the woman.
blamed her, but also blamed why would you do that? And it's true. Why would you do that?
right.
The Giants did that a couple years ago. Like they made it to the playoffs in the same thing. They all went on a boat cruise like in the middle of the week, and they weren't getting hammered, but they ended up flying down to Florida or wherever, going on a day cruise, and then flew back on their one day off. And everyone's like, why would you put yourself through the wear and tear of flying? Why weren't you relaxing or playing or, whatever? But anyways, focusing on Romo. But she was intrigued because she likes sports stories. I like sports stories. And she's like, she hears about he didn't get drafted, but then Dallas, Bill Parcells. And she's like, oh, I know Bill Parcells. Wasn't he a Patriot coach? So she knew Bill Parcells. She thought that was interesting. And then her ears perked up because Tony Romo was the backup quarterback for whom? For 3 years, he was on the roster for 3 years with Dallas. Never got into a game, never threw a pass because he was the backup quarterback for
I don't know.
Drew Bledsoe.
Oh.
And management was like, what? Like 2 people who went on to have better careers than Drew Bledsoe. I'm like, nah, he didn't really have a better career. But he was so loved. Like after his second or third game, Dallas has this thing, it's called the Ring of Honor, where basically they don't retire your number, but they retire your name on this Ring of Honor. Like people had professionally made and not as a joke, like put him in the Ring of Honor his second or third or fourth game as a starter in the NFL. And that's how they literally looked at him. So she watches a whole documentary with me. And then afterwards, she was like, oh my God, that was a profile in mediocrity. Like, yeah, that's his. I said, he's in his second year as a broadcaster, and people really like him. I don't think he's the greatest of all time.
I like him.
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does add insight and kind of some new blood.
I mean, he tries, the one knock on him, it's like he tries to be the smartest guy in the room and tell you what the play is. It's like, I can do that most of the time. Like, I can look at a Patriot formation, but you're supposed to.
But he also can give insight as to, like, okay, now if I were him, I would be doing this.
I would have thrown an interception.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry. But he's good. And I said to her, I like with Peyton, I like Peyton's commercials, and it's hard to hate him because his commercials and his SNL were so good. Tony Romo has grown on me as a broadcaster. It's like, not like he's ever done any, like, it's not like Dallas beat up Patriots in a big game and I've had a grudge thing. And,
right.
and again, I'm not going to say the word right, but the Schadenfreude. Thank you. Of him constantly letting Dallas fans down. I've loved, but it's a nice little profile, but it was a fluff piece. I mean, middle of the road, white kid, white neighborhood from Wisconsin, not like McGinnis fighting his way out of the hood and, all this stuff. But Willie McGinnis, like, you think about it, like the first time he went to the Super Bowl, they had to win 3 games to get there. That one season alone, Willie McGinnis won a game, played in one more win than you had in your career. You're not deserving of a profile.
Now, do you think a Football Life episode would be fitting for, say, Rob Gronkowski?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah?
Oh, well, Rob Gronkowski will go down as the best. Let's see what happens the next year or two as the best tight end in the history of football. Like most touchdowns, I mean, if he's not, and the woulda, coulda, shoulda, if my, aunt had a penis, she'd be my uncle. But he has missed a lot of time. He's missed a lot of playoff games because he gets injured at the end of the season. He's played in 3 Super Bowls and he's 1-2 in those. So it's hard to say, but he is. And I'm not saying this because I'm a homer. He is a force of nature. Like, he's second in yards in the Patriots, history. I mean, he's, I think, first in touchdown passes, I mean, you go down the list. Yes. Plus, he's a dynamic personality.
Right.
Like, off the field, he himself is an entity. He's a brand. He's a national brand. It's not like he's our brand. Like, he's a regular on Conan. He's a regular with the WWE. He's a regular, you do all these other things. No, he's a spokesperson for Tide.
Yeah,
No,
that's
really.
right. I know. I'm just.
I mean, I think he did the first one as a lark on his own. And Tide's like, yeah, let's get this guy in here.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But again, he's made it to 3 Super Bowls. Tony Romo's played in 4 playoff games or 5 playoff games in these 2. But I would recommend the Rodney.
Where do you see such programming? Is it on that ESPN?
NFL Network.
Oh, NFL Network. I have NFL Network.
Or on demand.
I get NFL Network.
Watch it.
I think.
It's not watching the paint dry, but when she was like, she watched the whole thing, and she likes stories. She likes like the drama of sports and all.
I
that.
love real sports on HBO.
Yeah. Right, and the fact that Tom Brady was the backup of Bledsoe, who got his start because Bledsoe got hurt. Bledsoe was at the end of his career, was having a horrible game, and I love it. This is the most Tony Romo as Tony Romo. Bledsoe gets pulled at halftime of a game because he had thrown like 4 interceptions. So Tony Romo comes in to start the second half. They call it very simple, really simple, like a check down, like a 5-yard rollout. Intercepted. His first play was intercepted. It's like,
You got to get the jitters out.
So they got that. So let's see.
I learned it by watching Drew.
So wow, was that good? Take a skate around. Timing.
Mr. Jacques, I fell on the ice.
A glass of water. So we're not going to do it this week, but next week we're going to do some Halloween theme thing. We might talk about the same fucking best Halloween theme songs again. We might talk about we have management. I told you a couple weeks ago, we're psyched because we have our yard and we have a couple skeletons. We have a pirate skeleton.
I got plenty of skeletons.
We got those are just in your closet, baby. We got the inflatable horse. Like
I got a lot of inflatables in my closet too. My closet's pretty packed.
2, 3.
Don't look at my closet.
And so, but you know how I keep the lights on the Christmas tree we have. What do you call those Christmas trees? I call them Christmas trees, but.
What?
What are the trees that look like Christmas trees?
Oh, like firs?
Yeah, we have,
evergreens.
And she's like,
Firs.
stop turning on the Christmas lights. It's too early. I'm like, no, this is my nod to Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm on front line, but yeah, we'll do some special, and maybe next week it's the Paul Lynde. I suggest doing the podcast while we watch it. I really do. I think that would be great.
But we'll be sued by the Paul Lynde estate.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
Plus, that's a 2-hour special. I think.
Is it 2 hours?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's an hour and a half without commercials. So, yeah, it's a
sold.
It might be a 2-parter. You know what? Briefly, we dropped the ball this October because you're such a Halloween fan. I don't know why we didn't think of this to begin with. We should have had a weekly Halloween tip from you because you're Mr. Halloween, and maybe you've been sprinkling Halloween tips throughout the podcast, and I've just not been catching them anyway. But no,
I'm trying to think, but no, that's not a bad idea. I can't do it now because I already have my parenting tip in my head.
Yes, what's your parenting tip? I like to derail you.
So we've had again our great friend Renetsky in town, and my parenting tip is, do stuff with the kids, especially if somebody comes to visit. Be a good host. And I don't. I'm like you.
Have you seen my closet?
I'll what is things no one has said for 100, Alex? I would no, but I don't really like to go out and do things. But we have somebody in town who came all the way to visit, and I'm being a good host. I'm showing the boys. It's like, hey, go out and do stuff. So I took her to Faneuil Hall. I took her and the boys to Faneuil Hall. We went to the Museum of Science the other day, or as my Christian friends would call it, the Museum of Lies. That was great. You used to be a member, right? Or do you still have to keep the membership going for that?
I think we are. We're still a member. We went a couple of weeks ago.
It's fun. It really is.
It's where it's fun to find out. How do you make an ocean wave?
Two things. I did that. I took there was a wave thing, the machine that makes the waves go.
Yeah.
And I took a video of the little guy standing in front of it saying that exact thing. And I sent it to my sister, and she's like, "That's the aquarium, you idiot." This is what I consider comedy gold.
See, he has his son posing like a model in front of a sign that says "Models at Work." Not those kind, Jacques.
It was an engineering display and stuff like. I think that's fucking hilarious.
That should be viral right now.
But it was fun. My favorite room. The electricity room is always great.
I love the electricity room. My kids hate the electricity room.
And what's great is the guy. It's all the Jungle Cruise kind of the guy explaining what's going on at the same time.
These next facts may shock you.
Awful, hilarious. So that was great. My favorite room is the one that has all like the planets. And it's and to scale the size of them,
like right outside the planetarium,
right? And then it has like little fun facts about them. It's like the Mars is 1/3 the size of Earth, and it shows it inside an Earth, or it shows I think it's Jupiter is 318 times bigger than Earth, and it shows like that, and it's the Earth plaque. It 1 and 1's Earth, like Earth is the size of Earth. It's like. Okay.
Right.
So nobody thought
this should just be like an arrow pointing down saying you are here.
Right, exactly. Or wish you were here.
But when they see the Earth model, like how flat is it? Because I wanted to
paper thin.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Wafer thin.
What else? Management took her to see all the stuff in Salem. Stuff like that, we wanted to go, but the boys not. But basically, and there was a couple times it's like the boys have said it's like, are we going out again? Because they wanted to play their games. I'm like, she came all the way here to see you. She wants to see stuff. Hopefully, she'll come back. She might not. The Freedom Trail's boring as fuck when you're 49 years old and you've done it since junior high. She hasn't done it. It's her first time doing it. So, yes, we're going to walk this. We're going to take pictures. You're going to smile.
Now, did she confuse Ben Franklin for the real Ben Franklin like Tracy Jordan did in 30 Rock?
Oh, God, it's not even funny. When Sarah Palin was on that tour to kind of see if she was going to run for president, and driving around in the country with a bus with her picture on it, but she's not running for president. And she went to the Paul Revere house, and she's spouting facts about Paul Revere. She's standing in front of a plaque explaining the ride and what it was historically about. Completely off.
Right.
It was all about the Second Amendment. Well, fun fact, Constitution hadn't been written yet, nor have the amendments. But then Wikipedia had to pull down the page because her fans were going on changing the page to make it like literally. We're trying to make it read what she was saying. But the great thing is like I remember the Daily Show, and they zoom in as she's talking about just complete bad. No, but it look, and that's another thing. It's like I hate being the New Yorker who's never been to the Statue of Liberty. And I have, since being back, haven't taken advantage of a lot of stuff. And the other night, last Saturday, I think it was like 65 degree fall night. We walked around Faneuil Hall, went to the North End and stuff. And it was great. And I'm like, God. But then kind of troll the management, I called her. I'm like, this is great. Why don't we do more of this? Why aren't we? It's like, I'm hanging up on you.
You didn't do the duck. Is it too cold for the duck?
No, they were running.
Oh, okay.
But we, by the time we got down, it was a late afternoon, early evening thing. Right. Have you done those?
The duck boat? Yeah.
Are they good?
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, when they don't, capsize.
How many times has that happened?
Only once, and it was in Georgia or Mississippi.
Right.
And it only killed one family of 8.
Right.
something like
One,
that.
a whole family, But let's face it. Were they tourist or were they from Mississippi?
They were, I think, from Mississippi.
All right.
I don't know, but we did do the duck boats years ago, like probably over 10 years ago. So I think Boston's changed since then a little bit.
Still racist?
Yes.
Okay, good. All
These
right.
people are specific.
Are we going to gloss over your parenting tip of the week? No, you give your parenting tip. You got
What?
your 18-year-old voting.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to save that for November, but okay. Yeah, my oldest has registered to vote as an independent. That's right. He's not a liberal snowflake nor a right-wing nut yet. So he's on the fence.
I'm pretty sure I know.
Which way he's going to lean, right? But so I think he did vote in the primaries, which in the state you can register. You can, even if you're an independent, you can vote in Democratic primaries or Republican primaries. But yeah, he'll be voting, and he'll be voting the right way in November. Don't you worry, America.
When you say the right way,
I mean he'll be voting the left way. God damn it! Fuck.
all right, that wraps up for me.
Well, I want to do another 20 minutes, so if you could just leave.
No problem.
I want to talk about classic concentration more.
We can. So Jam with Dan, the other day, we got a show coming up. And we're going to have, by the way, have I told you I would like to, I should ask before I invite, a strange kid in your house who has problem deciding where his shirt should be buttoned and unbuttoned. But I want to have the kid from Gold Star Boulevard in. He was excited when I sent him the podcast. Did I send you the email?
I think so.
He wrote back. He thought it was hilarious that we noticed his 2 hours of planned wardrobe malfunctions, well choreographed malfunctions.
Yeah. So who is this again?
It's a singer, guitarist, bass player because they switch around.
From
Gold Star Boulevard.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So we're playing December 14th, but Dan has 20 songs we've never played, so we're trying to figure out, okay, can we get 2 or 3 into the mix? And the song we're going to go out with is one that we played for the first time as a band the other day. Ooh. We don't have a version of it with, me playing it yet, but it's a fun song. It's called Run. It's on dancray.net, not to be confused with dancray.com.
And who's on dancray.com?
The piano guy.
Oh, yeah. No, is it the trumpet or saxophone?
No, it's
the piano guy.
Yeah.
Oh, not the jazz guy. He's
the jazz guy. Right. Thank you. The jazz guy.
Yeah. All right. So take it away, Mr. Cray. And thank you, Jacques, once again for
snacks.
No, I supplied the snacks
did.
This year or this
for the next month.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, it's one of these large Utz containers of party mix chips and Cheetos. Basically, it's like if Trump were dehydrated and then ground into little bite-sized pieces,
like the reporter in Turkey. Well, the Turkish reporter.
Oh man, that is too soon. It's actually before too soon because we don't even know if it actually happened. So, it did happen. I'm sorry. So on that sour note, Jacques, don't forget.